What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Sabres Spotlight, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Here with your host Matt and Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
What up? What up? I'm back. I'm back. I'm back from my Sabres hiatus and the holiday season. I know Matt said last time that it gets busy for the holidays and with my job I'm like very tired all the time. So I just needed a little break. And with the Sabres being so depressing, I had no interest in talking about them, but I'm ready to be back and dissect things.
There's this little part of me that hopes we were just talking before the show, and literally seconds before you came on, I was like, or before the record button started going, it was like we were talking about how it's been 5 weeks since you went on, and you were like, "Yeah, because I hate them." And I feel like there's a chance that that last part might make it right before the intro starts, because sometimes that's timing off, and that would
That'd
be
be really
hilarious
funny.
if it is.
Yeah, that would be great and perfect. I do. I I've never felt this way before. At least like, last year it was really frustrating, but like you had a reason to kind of be a fan. Like things were like on the up and up and like maybe, with Granado gone, things might get better and it turns out that they're kind of worse. So it's like I don't really know where to go from here as a fan, honestly. So, but this
Yeah,
is just something that we'll get through together.
it's definitely been a tough and frustrating season. It's tough because last year, I don't know, it felt like last year like they were supposed to do it and they didn't, and then because you had the promising 2023, and then this year was like, okay, like this is definitely the year. Like you got some more experience, you're running the guys back, the roster seems to be slightly improved. We got Lindy, so it's been tough to be where we are, for sure. But before we're gonna go around the league here to start, and we haven't done that in a little bit, but we're looking to maybe do that going forward here, as there is a lot of cool stuff going on around the league. And unfortunately, our Sabres aren't one of them. So we can start off with some of that. But before we do that, I do want to you don't have to go too long on it because I already kind of talked about it last week. And I'm throwing this at you. I didn't prepare you for this, but I want to just give me your insight, like some of your feelings about the losing streak. Obviously, it's something that no one wants to remember, but like, what are your thoughts on it? Just like, I rambled on last episode, but I wanted to just kind of see like, what are you feeling about what transpired there? Because when you
Well,
last spoke, we were in the middle of it. We
yeah,
didn't really
right. We
know
had
how
no idea.
bad we didn't know how bad it was going to get. So
We
I
had
just
no
want to
idea
kind
what
of,
was happening or what was to
yeah.
come.
So tell me what you're
Um,
thinking. Tell me what you're feeling.
so the last time I was on here was before Montreal when
Yeah,
Kevin
I
spoke.
think it was December 6th. So
Yeah,
I'll look up like when.
when Kevin spoke to the team and Pagula flew to Montreal. That was the last time we
Yep.
didn't
Yep.
before that even happened was the last time that I was on. And when that happened, I was like, oh boy, like what could Terry possibly say to get the boys fired up? Like this guy, just I've had enough of him. I mean, I've had enough of him for years, but I if the Bills win the Super Bowl and we have to see his mug on TV like accepting the trophy, I think it might ruin the Super Bowl victory for me a little bit. I'm not even kidding. But so that's happening, and he goes and talks to the team, and then they lay that egg against Montreal, and it was like, oh my God, like what are we even doing? Like the whole time they were scoring first, sometimes like two times or three times in a row, and then
Yeah.
blowing the lead. And last year the team was really good at protecting a lead. Their problem was starting the game, not finishing the game. Like finishing the game, they were actually like relatively good at holding leads in the third period. And this year it's just the complete opposite. Like you can tell every game they're just so mentally fragile, and I honestly thought that they would never win again. Like I know they would obviously win again, but in the middle of it, I'm like, they're either coming from behind and tying the game and then losing somehow, or getting two goals scored on them in the final 3 minutes to like lose a game, or like blowing a 4-0 lead and getting scored on in overtime and losing. And it was like they were losing in every possible way, and that is to me a sign of terrible coaching. And I've done a complete 180 on Lindy from the beginning of the year. I don't want him here anymore. I don't. I think it's horrible that Kevin and the organization gave Lindy this staff that proved last year that they were terrible and is proving again this year that they're terrible. And these players, during this streak, I've decided to myself that You can keep Darlene, you keep Tage. Everyone else is on the table for me, at least. And I know that there are guys they won't trade because Kevin Adams is in love with the room, apparently. And I think that's the wrong move. I think that 96% of the roster should be available to move. But the streak was just so sad, and I watched every single game, and I have my other friends, telling me like, "Why are you watching? It's a waste of time." And I'm like, "I know,
It's
but
sad that so many people feel that way. I mean,
it's
and
like
you can't. I don't blame them, but it's the sad reality of Buffalo Sabres hockey.
it's like that person you can't like get over, and you keep like checking their stuff at like 2 a.m. to see if they watched your Snapchat story, like that kind of situation. And like that's the Sabres for me. It's just like I can't quit them. I follow the content. I still interact with beat reporters and fans on Twitter, like my fellow fans, and I just can't quit them. And even though they make me sad, I guess I will still always love them, even through a 13 game win streak. Is how I feel, or losing
13
streak, I
game
should
losing
say.
streak. Yeah.
Win streak would be awesome. Even if they won 13 games, they still wouldn't even be in the playoff picture, which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's so funny? It's so funny you said that because earlier today I was listening to the latest episode of Straight Up Sabers, and I forget which one, Brendan or Taylor, who mixed it up just like you, and they said the exact opposite thing. They said same thing, 13 game win streak instead of lose streak, and then instantly corrected himself. But they were
Yeah.
both the same. They said the same thing, like, "Oh, how awesome would that be?" But it's interesting because, and we'll get to around the league in a second, but it seems like you're kind of like a little bit more out on Lindy, and I'm not necessarily there yet. I think the interesting thing about this streak and what makes it tough for me, and is why I think changes are so necessary, is because like I can understand like a 6 game or like a 5 game, but it's like when you let it get to 13, like when it gets that long, there's like a pride element to it, and I feel like that's a lot on the players too. Like the team is like, despite the record despite the point total, the team is a lot. The team is better than that. Like they are better than their record right now, I believe. And but I think some of those games you can just see where it's just like it's just falling apart. And I know there's a mental fragility piece of that. Like that's so very obvious, but it's also kind of like when you're getting beat down like night in and night out. Like after a while, you just got to say like, dude, like I'm representing Buffalo, a hardworking blue collar city. Like I'm gonna put my foot down and I'm gonna go and get this win. And like they found ways to just lose miraculously. And like that's the stuff. That's the thing that kind of makes me mad. And it's like if you truly like gave a shit and wanted to be here like long term, and a lot of these kids probably don't. They're young kids, like whatever. But that's where I have a little bit of like just like kind of like annoyance with the players. It's like you as a player let it get that bad. It did not have to get that bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I gotta say, like, the rumor about Pagula and Adams meeting with the team and telling them, the answer is in the room. I think the players know deep down that the answer is not in the room and they need help. Like, they need
Yeah.
help at positions that we've said, and not just us, but, you know, a common opinion of the fan base, like just on a basic level, is that Owen Power is a young offensive defenseman and he deserves a stay at home, um, steady veteran partner. And he's needed one since he stepped in the league 2 years ago. And here we are, and he's not the best in his own end. And we know that. So get him a partner that can help him, like guide him. He's only a 22-year-old player, and that is the crux of it with the rest of the roster. Like before, I've said some, mean things about Dylan Cousins and how I want him traded, but he's still 20, what, 23, 24. Like Jack Quinn is 22, JJ Paterka is 22. Like all these guys are so young, and look what happened when they signed, one really good UFA forward in Jason Zucker. He was like one of our most productive players
Mm-hmm.
and plays the right
Mm-hmm.
way every single night, does the little things, and I just wish that they went out and got like maybe two more of him.
Yeah. You needed to get more of that. Yeah. It's a good point you bring up about the players, obviously having some doubt. And I mean, that's apparent in letting it get that bad. You know, they said there's a prideful thing there. Maybe they know some things. Um, it's it's definitely a roster construction thing. I also kind of feel like for Lindy, it's like, let me ask you this question: if you take Lindy right now, and because I think Lindy's still got it, like I think he can still produce a winning hockey team. I know he struggled in Jersey, but like if you put Lindy behind the bench this year in Jersey, and they're having a good year with Sheldon Keefe. Like, do you think their record this year is much different with Lindy than with Sheldon Keefe this
No,
year?
I think it's the same. I really did. They did Lindy so dirty last year, like last year and the year before. Like I know they were really good the year before, but
Yeah,
last year their whole team was injured. Jack Hughes missed a ton of time last year, and they had no goaltending. And this
yeah,
year they're relatively healthy, especially on defense. I think a lot of their guys have played almost every game. And with the emergence of like Luke Hughes too in his second season, I think he's taken a little bit of a jump. And they have great goaltending. And it's like give Lindy credit for taking that double team as far as they did, but last year was just so bad, and he kind of got done dirty. And I think if he never got fired and they did all their moves in the offseason, like they're like similar moves, I think they're kind of in the same spot.
yeah. So I don't know. That's the thing. It's like it's tough because it's like I think we would be better off this year with Don Granado? Like no, but I think we'd probably be where we are now and I believe we have a higher ceiling with Lindy Ruff. Like I truly believe that. I don't think he's some, God sent coach, but like he's like whatever, like he's got like the third most wins in the NHL right now for a reason. He's been there, done that. I feel like the Sabres right now, it's kind of more of like a personnel issue and just development issue of like you said about the Owen Power thing of just kind of failing to identify the right roster needs and obviously Adam's failure to go out and get these guys where it's like now you're stuck where you have this like almost like this like gameplay paralysis where or this amnesia where it's like you don't know what you want to do between trying to be a rush offense or trying to install this like defensive minded like get the puck up dump and chase style that Lindy wants to do. Like you've tried to change so many things over the last couple of years and these players haven't been able to do it. And I think after a while you have to just take a good step back and be like, I think we need new players. Like we have to shake things up, but you have to be able to identify that properly. And I don't trust them to do that.
Yeah, so the deadline is coming up in March, right?
Yeah.
And
I think it's March 7th.
it looks like once again that Kevin Adams is going to be the one making these decisions.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like
I
I
know.
don't want him to be the one identifying like let's if he does some small stuff like I would I think I would give Jason Zucker another $5 million. But if they go and trade him for a second round pick, I mean that's something that Adams to do. That's something that like a monkey could do in his position and just get it done.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
going out and like this Elias Pettersson thing, like it's not happening. It's not like I don't think it'll happen at all. I think the Canucks will figure out their situation like on their own, like without us, for like monetary reasons, and because I just don't think Adams has the balls to pull off a move like that. Even though he's like Darlene's best friend, and I'm sure at the Four Nations tournament, like they're gonna talk a little bit. But I don't know if I want Adams to be the one even thinking about a decision where we trade multiple prospects, multiple roster players for like a big name. Like he shouldn't be the guy behind the table like making these phone calls. It should be someone new.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get somebody else in there. And I guess we could just touch on Zucker real quick since you mentioned it. We might as well. As far as extending Zucker, I'm on board with that too. I just don't know. Like, do you think he would even extend extend
No,
here? Like,
no.
why
Why
would
would
you?
he? Why would like putting him in it's crazy to put like as fans of like the team, as fans of like any team, would stick up for the team and be like if he doesn't sign here then like, screw him whatever, but like every player on this roster if they go for greener pastures, I'm like good for you. Like, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like
yeah. I know it's crazy.
why would he ever sign his name on a contract for the Buffalo Sabres. Like again, like he did his 5 months here, and it's hockey hell. Why would you ever want to stay?
Well, and he's gonna get. I mean, part of the reason he came here is because I don't think he was getting a ton of offers last year with like where
No,
his
he
production was.
he wasn't
So
very
like
good in Arizona.
yeah, so like now think about this. He's boosted his value and he might continue boosting his value with how he's played. And also if you're another GM and you're thinking this guy's performing this way in Buffalo, what can I get out of him?
That's
It's
that's exactly what other GMs are thinking, dude. I
like he's
guarantee it.
boosting his value just being successful in Buffalo, which is very hard for players to do. So it's like, man, like I mean they they probably should because I'm with you. I don't think they'll be able to coax him into staying here another year. It might even be better to just try and get a pick for him because I mean he's
Yeah,
definitely boosted his value, so you might be able to get decent value back for that.
like
We'll
they're gonna
see what
try.
happens.
I guarantee they're gonna go to his
Well, I mean
representatives and be
Kevin Adams
like,
always tries. He
I
tries
knew
to do stuff all the time.
I knew one of us was gonna say it, like, because that's exactly what his MO is. He tries. He's the king of
He wouldn't
trying.
be doing his job if he wasn't trying.
He no one he cares more than anyone. So
I'm
yeah,
so reminded. I'm so reminded of your quote, and you were like, "I try to do stuff all the time. It doesn't mean I succeed."
that's a legendary one, dude.
That
So
is.
I think about like sometimes I make myself laugh. I know that's like the most narcissistic thing I've ever said, but like I say some dumb stuff sometimes, and that was one of the things where I'm like, that kind of hit.
Yeah, yeah. If we were like good with like production and stuff, and we did like a show moments episode like that, that would definitely be one of them. That was a good one from within the last year. But
He does try, dude. He's the king of trying, but like he's definitely gonna ask. I bet you he asks. I don't know who Zucker's agent is. But if I bet you like they don't even return his phone call.
yeah, I wouldn't be
Like
surprised.
you said, why? What besides money? Why would you stay?
Has he won a cup?
With Pittsburgh, yeah,
Okay. So he's been to the top, but I mean, guys are
yeah,
still motivated by winning, and like you said, he's done nothing but boost his value since he's been here. So
and he
he's
could
he'll
probably
he'll
fetch
he'll
us a
have a
second round
market.
pick. He might even be able to fetch us like a late first from like a Toronto or something, like a team that's really good that needs another forward.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, at this point, give us all the picks. I guess that's all
yeah.
we're gonna do is pick children. That's what we do in this organization. We pick
I mean,
kids and we don't develop them.
yeah, he's an option there for guy who gets traded by the Sabres and goes on to win a cup this year. I mean, you got options. So Vegas is looking good. So who knows? You might have
Yeah, send them to.
Olafson getting one.
Oh my god, dude, it's so bad. Hey, speaking of former Sabres, did you see the goal that Sam Reinhart scored yesterday?
The one against Boston with
Nine.
like
It
two
was
seconds
yeah.
left. I didn't
Uh,
see the goal. I had that game on when I was doing some work around the house, and
he scored a shorthanded goal where he took the puck up the ice and walked through two guys and beat the goalie. And shout out to Kevin on Twitter, one of the best Sabres follows out there. Just a great guy and a great fan of the team and snarky and fun and all that. But I didn't realize this, but Sam Reinhart only played 19 minutes as a penalty killer in his Sabres career, and he regularly kills penalties for the best team in the league. So that's just goes to show what we do in this organization. We have no idea what our best players do.
this is the stuff, man. This is the stuff, and that's also the thing with like if you can develop better and get what you need out of guys, like it can make all the difference. Like again, going back to your own PowerPoint, like I don't think. I mean, I've never played hockey, so I don't have experience here. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like learning to be physical in front of your net or like clearing guys out like shouldn't be that difficult to grasp. I feel
No,
like if
that's just not
power
his thing.
goes
Like we have
like
to accept that it's not his thing.
no, sure, I know, but like the point I'm trying to make here is like I could see him like if we actually do deal him, I could see him going somewhere and it's like and he learns that in 2 weeks. And it's like
I
what were we missing for 200 plus games?
I agree with you, and it's so funny watching his game in the defensive zone now because like he's really bad in front of the net. Like him and Samuelson are really bad in front of the net, and that is
Oh,
to
Samuelson,
me
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to me that's
He's just
coach.
trying not to get hurt.
To me that's coaching because the rest of Owen Power's game in the defensive zone is fine. Like he takes hits on the wall on the walls. On the walls, he's a fucking beast. He'll take a hit and move the puck up the ice, and it's like great. That's what you're supposed to do as a 6'5" defenseman or however big he is. But in front of the net, it's like his awareness is turned to zero. Like
Yeah,
it's
awareness goes
insane.
down for
And I
sure.
feel like that has to be like coaching of some kind. Like it's really bad. Like you don't know or to look for a guy to lift their stick, and like you don't have to bury a guy. Just get your stick on his stick. And it's
Yeah, I
just
don't know
it's
what it
really,
is. If he's just like scared of retaliation or something, or
I don't know because he
whatever.
got in a scrum the other day and was like throwing fists. So I don't think it's that he's
Yeah,
scared or that like he's afraid to be physical. Because like I said, he's pretty damn physical along the walls. Like this year he's used his
but it's
body
more.
like more than any year. It's just like knowing knowing how to position your body in between you and the goalie is
Yeah,
something that he does not know how to do whatsoever.
yeah. So I think that's kind of it. It's like if it's like play along the walls seems more structured, where it's like it's very simple of what your job
Yep.
is. It's like you're gonna take a hit or you're gonna give a hit, and you kind of know how you're gonna do it, right? And
Yep.
or you're either gonna use your body to shield. Like play in front of the net. It's definitely more of a free for all. So there is more learning there. I can appreciate that as far as like body positioning and not trying to screen your own goalie. Also, like trying to clear guys out. Like you might have to like kind of cross check a guy or whatever. Like you might have to get dirty. So I feel like that's where some more of the hesitation and learning comes in on his end. But again, it's like I'm just annoyed because that's a guy I could see again, like I said, getting traded and he learns how to do that in a couple weeks. And it's
Oh, I
like,
agree. That's why he's like you'd have to like give me a player of like equal value to like even make me consider trading him. Like you're
yeah,
not giving me like an 18-year-old and a 2026 first round pick. Like you're no no no. We're not doing that. If you're giving me Owen Power, you're giving me like I can't even name someone off the top of my head, but it would be like one for one someone just as good. Like
yeah,
there's just no reason
yeah,
to do
Mo
it
Sider or something like
currently.
that.
Yeah, like that's never gonna happen. But like that would be like the equivalent to me. Like if Detroit's like we need a left-handed guy that can move the puck, and we'll give you our right-handed shot that is physical. Like okay, that's like one of the players that I would consider, but that's about it. Honestly, like
Yeah.
there's just no reason. Like maybe we can teach this guy instead.
Yeah, the annoying part about it too, from a player aspect and being a Sabres fan, which I can appreciate, is like dude, like you're making 8 mil now. It's like you didn't like you chose to stay here. So like if we're telling you to do something, like now's the time to do it, dude. Like
Yeah.
you didn't have to sign a contract here. You could have moved on, but like you took the 8 mil and we got you. So like, all right, let's
It's
play
not his
some
fault.
big
I
boy
mean, if
hockey.
he's a 20-year-old getting $8 million shoved in his face or $56 million, whatever it is, like he's gonna sign it. But like that goes to another thing where I think that Adams has done wrong is that we don't use the bridge deal like at all. And when we do, we're so bad that our guys want to leave. So like Reinhardt signed a bridge deal, which at the time he was so good that he should not have signed a bridge deal. He should have got an 8-year deal. Like he was awesome. And they kind of did him dirty and like disrespected him and signed his bridge deal up to the point where he could sign his qualifying offer and then be UFA after the year and just walk. And that's why we traded him because he's like, I'm not signing here long term anymore. You guys screwed me over, so I'm going to play my 1 year and then I'm going to leave.
Yeah,
And but with like a power, did you really? Was it really necessary to sign him to an 8-year deal? Like, was it really necessary?
it's just a trendy thing, like locking
Was
up
it
your guys.
was it
Like
necessary to sign a Dylan Cousins to a 7-year deal? Like, I get Tage. Tage is well worth his contract. And Adams' excuse in the offseason was that he had to go off and pay, Paterka and Quinn. We're in January right now, and Paterka and Quinn are probably not getting 8-year deals.
yeah,
Like they don't. So like, what was that lie all about, dude? Like that was just an excuse to not spend money, an excuse to not do your job. So that goes back to another reason that like we aren't being guided properly because it's all just excuses and what ifs and if everyone hits their max ability then oh my god we're amazing, but nobody ever hits their max ability. Like we should have been thinking of
mm-mm,
like
no,
maybe two of these guys are good and the rest are just like decent, which is
yeah,
how it normally is and kind of how it's working out right now because who can you say is elite among all of these kids right now?
Well,
Not a single one of them.
and that's such a good point because I would even say like you could even say right now Tage's contract is a bargain, but you could also say that Tage is not performing up to his ceiling. Like Tage is playing good, but like I think Tage could be a perennial 90-point guy, right? And
Yeah,
it's
I
like
agree.
he's not pacing for that. Darlene could be is playing good hockey too, and well, I mean he has his share of
He's on pace for
dumb penalties.
75 points. Like he's good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But like he could be a Norris contender year in year out. So
Right.
like is he at his ceiling? He is the highest paid defenseman in the league. So like I get it. But it's that's the thing. It's like your top guys. It's like I have no complaints with those two guys really. Like I'm cool with them, but I'm also kind of like again, like if they were in different organizations like
Oh,
tomorrow,
dude.
like the ceilings would be higher. And I guess maybe
If
surrounded by talent and things like that. It's just
if
speaking to the
Darlene
point of development.
if Darlene was in another organization, he would be a perennial Norris
Yeah,
contender. It's just
yeah.
like casuals don't see us because we're not in the playoffs ever. So it's like, how do we really know how good Rasmus Dahlin is if you're not like actually here watching all of the games? Like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. Like, it does suck that like those two guys specifically are kind of just wasting their time. It feels like.
Yeah. So going back to what you said, because I wanted to comment on it about like the Owen Power, the Dylan Cousins, like, did we sign these guys too early? Like, do you think it was like kind of like a cap floor thing? Like, I don't know what the cap floor is, but it's like I almost wonder if like he kind of needed to shell out some money just to kind
I
of get
don't
to
know.
the floor.
I don't know. That one year when we like had to acquire Ben Bishop's contract to reach the floor was crazy. And then we barely made any moves after that. And Ben Bishop wasn't even playing hockey anymore. He was working in the Dallas Stars organization as like a goalie consultant. So like that just goes to show like what our priorities are. But I don't think it was a cap floor thing. I think it was more Kevin is obsessed with this group of guys and like making it work and just thinking like having too much faith. Like
Yeah, he might have had some
look at
bravado after that Tage deal hit.
look at so I look at other organizations. Like this is just at the top of my head right now. Like so when Vegas acquired Mark Stone, they traded some form of Nick Suzuki, who was a prospect at the time, a 15th overall pick, I think, and another first, and some other stuff, and I think another, one other thing for Mark Stone.
Hmm.
I think it was Eric Brandstrom actually, maybe I could be wrong. Um, but that's a team that packaged your shiny, brand new first round pick from a year ago, the year before, packaged with another first round pick and some other stuff to get one of the premier two-way forwards in hockey, and then they won a cup.
Yeah,
Like we should have diagnosed 2 years ago or a year ago last summer which one of Kulik, Osland, or Benson or Krebs or like any of these young kids, like take take two of them. You're gonna move forward with these two, and the other three or four you're gonna move
hmm,
for roster talent.
hmm.
And we didn't. They're all still here. Like
Yeah, you have to be final. You have to make decisions.
I feel bad for Isaac Rosen because he was a former first round pick. He's always good in Rochester. Never gets a shot. Is he going to
Yeah,
be an NHLer? I don't know. But Isaac Rosen 2 years ago had first round pick value, and now he's got no value because he can't make the league as a 22-year-old.
yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing here? We're just holding on to these guys for infinite time.
Yeah, the prospects thing is difficult because, like you said, there's like a ton of the same player, and you're not packaging them for anything. This is a big. I mean, if Adams sits on his hands this year and doesn't make some sort of move,
I mean,
it's
it's
going to
over.
be
He's not.
frustrating. Yeah.
But what's he going to do now?
Well, I'm saying like because I mean, all signs are pointing to him, being back for next season.
Dude,
So if they don't want to, be in the same position, in January, if we don't want to be speaking about this in a year from now, he's going to have to do something, hopefully at the trade deadline or at over the summer to prove that he can get that done. And if he doesn't, then like I said, he's probably safe anyway. So then we're risking having this exact conversation in another year.
it's just the same cycle over and over again. I Do you really think he gets another season? Do you really think he lasts after the year if he doesn't get fired anytime soon?
I don't know, man. It might all be dependent on the Bills. If the Bills win the Super Bowl, Terry's not going to give a shit about the Sabres. So, like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I
I feel
think
like the
Adams is back.
opposite. I feel like if we win the Super Bowl, then Terry can like set them aside for a while and be like, all right, let me focus on my other team here.
That's dude. That is what he has to do. It's just like, oh man, it's so frustrating. But anyways, let's talk about because we can go down a rabbit hole talking about Terry and Kevin here, and I don't want to focus on that. But unless you have anything else to say, but I was thinking we could go on to because we kind of mentioned their names real quick,
Go ahead.
and I mentioned this to you last week. So Jack Quinn has been playing some better hockey here as of late,
Yep.
and it's not perfect, but it's better. And at least he's putting a goal in the net, or the at least he's putting the puck in the net, and he's had some nice shots. He's
Yeah,
had some nice goals.
he looks like Jack Quinn of old.
Yeah, he's not like literally getting pushed off the puck by a pinky. Like he looks
Mhm.
stronger on the ice too. So he's been playing better. JJ has kind of cooled off. I mean, he's getting some like kind of like assist points still, but it's like he's not like he's not making plays. He's not like a difference maker out there. So I guess my question to you is if if the Sabres are going to make some decisions here and move on from one of these guys or sign one of these guys or maybe give them both bridges, like what do you think is what is the best plan with these guys? Would you choose one or the other? Would you deal one? What would you do if you were in Kevin Adams' position?
I think I would move one of them. Like I'm not. We got to get out of this. Not we. I'm not saying like us or like the fan base, but the organization. Like it's come out that they don't make moves because they're afraid of one of these guys like leaving and succeeding. If we traded JJ Peterka, let's say just for example, we traded JJ and we gave Jack Quinn a contract and we just picked one of the two, and JJ goes off and succeeds and becomes like a 30 goal scorer and he's amazing. I don't think anyone would care if the Sabres were
Not
good.
now. Not now.
You know?
Yeah.
Like if we were
I don't think
good,
they would care if they were bad because at least you did something. Honestly, that's where we're at.
like what I'm trying to say is like it should not matter what happens when a player leaves the organization. If your team is good, all that talk goes away. Like, oh, I can't believe they gave up on this player. Like that shouldn't matter because your team is better and is succeeding without them. But I don't know. I think they're gonna bridge both of them. Honestly, I think you're gonna like they're not giving them long term deals. They don't deserve it. So they'll probably give each like a 2 or 3 year deal. Maybe in the for Quinn because he's been scratched a bunch. Probably in the like $4 million range, like 2 years, 2 million per. And then for JJ, probably like 3 years, like 8 million. I don't know. It seems low, but at the same time, it's like they don't really deserve more.
Yeah.
If someone is going to offer you something for them and it's worth your while, I say do it.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, you have to like, and if you piss them off, like whatever. Like your job
Who
isn't to
cares?
make these dudes
This team
happy. Like,
sucks.
yeah, and if you're able to lock them in, for a smaller number on a bridge deal like that. I mean, if they do pop off, that becomes a very movable contract. Or you can always, then you can always extend them down the line. But
Yeah. I just like you can't just give them like they don't they played themselves out of the long term deal and you can't give everyone a 7 year deal on a 30th place roster.
I put this poll on our Twitter just as kind of an either or, and I only did it a little bit ago, so it's not a there's not like a handful or there's not like a ton of votes right now, but it is heavily favored Paterka right now, about 86%, as like
Keeping
an
him
either
or
or. I kind of phrased it as an either or,
like
Paterka or
what?
Quinn.
Keeping Paterka or like which one?
Yeah, like
Keep
so. This is basically saying more people seem interested in signing, would be interested in signing Paterka, to an
Okay.
extension over
Makes sense.
Quinn
I mean, Quinn
if
has
we're
had a
picking
bad
one
rep.
or the
Like
other.
he just hasn't played well and he's been injured. And but I think I might be the opposite there.
I
I
just think
think
the
I would.
ceiling. I've said this before on the show, and I think and I think you've agreed with me. But I do think the ceiling is higher for Quinn. Paterka and his cold streaks just really scare me. Where it's like, what if the hot streaks go away and you just have a continued cold streak and like he's playing? I don't know. Assists like as cool as they are. Like I mean, you can pick up. secondary assists so
Yeah,
easily.
you can
Like
pick
you
up
just
secondary assists by just doing nothing. Like
yeah.
Ryan
So
Whitney
you
made a
know
career of secondary assists by, taking the puck behind the net, passing it to Malkin, and he goes down the ice and scores, and
yeah.
there's primary assist. Like
So you see
that's
20,
great.
like JJ's got like 22 assists this year, but I guarantee 6 or 7 of those are probably just like whatever. Like, he's not
Yeah,
playmaking. Now, I don't dislike the guy, but if I had my choice out of those two, I do think Quinn has a little bit of a higher ceiling, and hopefully he pops off in the second half, because if he does, the Sabres are probably, doing better. Let's move on. Unless you have anything else you want to say, I'd like to move on to goaltending.
go ahead.
So I feel like there's kind of an interesting conversation here. I put in the show doc that I want to talk about UPL, but I also kind of want to talk about Devin Levi, man, because Levi's been playing good in Rochester, and I don't know. I not saying that I want him to come up, because I don't. I do absolutely. I've totally changed my thought process on that. The season is a wash. I just want Levi to stay down in Rochester this year and just continue, lighting it up down there, and then, bring him up next year, and then you got your 1 and 2, and I'm fine with that. Like, I think that's kind of what I want this year. If he gets a start or two here and there, that's fine. But Devin Levi's been playing his ass off in Rochester, and Rochester's playing really well in front of him as well. And I'll have to check, but I believe they might be in first in the North. I'll have to look, but
When I looked
um,
yesterday, they were.
okay. So yeah, they're playing really good under, the new head coach there, and UPL has. I'm just gonna throw some stats your way here, man. These were a little shocking when I looked at them, but as of 2 days ago, so these are all, relatively within range here still. This stuff isn't shifting too much now, but UPL's 13 wins this year, ranks 21st in the NHL. Yet his starts ranked ninth with 31. Obviously, that's a result of being on the Sabres, I know. But if you look at, some more advanced statistics, an 896 save percentage ranks 27th in the league, and a 3.02 goals against ranks 30th in the league. So it's tough, because I didn't get a GSAX number here, but I would assume he's probably neutral, or if not slightly negative, if I had to
Hmm.
guess, if I'm being honest. Um, so I don't know. What are UPL got the contract this season. There's no Levi. They're chasing him. He's been the guy. Do you think it's just like too much? Like he's starting too many games. What do you think? I don't know. It's been kind of meh.
There are times where he has melted down with the entire team.
Yeah,
Like
Seattle.
he or even Colorado twice
I mean Colorado. Yeah,
because because there are times where it's like make one save. Like if you just made one save, we're in the clear. Like there are times where he will get scored on like the shittiest goal, and then the whole team like just falls apart. Like I'm in a weird spot with him. Like I think he's a fine goaltender, and the deal is relatively cheap for NHL starter standards. But I don't know. I
but is it
he
for a backup? Because he could be the backup as early as next year potentially.
Yeah, I think I want Devin Levi traded. Not gonna lie.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
I don't. My hot take about Devin Levi is I don't think he's ever gonna be an NHL starting goaltender.
Wow. So you're out. See, I'm in on Devin Levi. You're out on Levi.
He is so good in Rochester, and then comes up here and gets obliterated. And I think that just is because the shooting talent in the AHL is so significantly weaker than it is in the NHL. And I'm just out on him. And if some organization thinks he can be a 1A, he can go too.
So then, in your eyes, we need to make a move for a goaltender. I think Devin Levi
No,
is the
run with
future, but I don't. I don't. I have questions about that with UPL. Now I do.
run
I honestly do.
if they run with UPL and bring back like a mid-level starter to be his backup and like start the thing that they do is they either run Devin Levi who's gotten torched in the NHL, or they have James Reimer who is a bottom of the league starter. If they went out and like got just a mid-level guy that can hold the fort for a couple games while UPL gets his head together, or whoever the starter is, like that would be great. But we don't do that. We go out and we think Devin Levi is God's gift to goaltending, and then it doesn't work, and then you're like, oh no, we need this other shitty guy to play some games for us, and it's like, well, how are we supposed to win games like that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. But like back to the UPL, I think he's fine. He just is annoying sometimes. That's like pretty much how I feel like in a general sense. I think he's all right, and you can win with him.
I just wish there was more consistency. Like this week, he gets the shutout in Ottawa, and then
Yep.
like the Seattle game is just a mess, dude. It's like there's just and he played really good after January last year. I will give him that. That's why he earned the contract. But that's kind of been the thing with him. It's like inconsistency, and there's been some bad goals let in, and it's just frustrating. Like I I kind of think like this year, like if you just kind of like put Levi in net for like UPL starts and give him those 31 starts, like I have a hard time believing that like our record is very much different than like it is today.
Well, we're just so bad that it's it's almost hard to be worse. So
Well, exactly.
probably,
So it's like, yeah.
but they
So
don't defend in front of him either. Like they don't. We don't defend, so it's like, what? Who back there is gonna make a save? I guess I don't know, but there have been times with UPL where it's like you let that goal, like you let that by you, like NHL goalies don't let ones that UPL lets in like on a consistent basis, and it's
yeah,
annoying because then he'll go and make a 10 bell save, and it's like, oh my god, this guy's a freak, and then he'll let in a wrister from the fucking circle, like the high circle, like unscreened, and it's like, come on, dude, like what are we doing here?
I know. It's just like the rest of the team. Like the mantra is the same. You just want more consistency. And if he
Yep.
can show me more consistency, like he did last year, then like I'm fine with that. It's just goaltending is one thing. If you want one less thing to worry about, and we thought we did have one less thing to worry about, then that's good. I just now I'm kind of like unsure. It's like you don't really know what UPL you're getting this year. It's been a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, which is a little bit frustrating. I obviously see a lot of potential there. He really still is kind of young into his career. He's still
Yeah, he is.
he's still getting going. So again, I not that I'm completely out on him. I just want to see a little bit more consistency. But I am in on Devin Levi.
Yeah, I know you are. You're the Devin Levi guy.
All right. Well, let's move on from there. I think that pretty much sums it up. The only other thing I wanted to talk about here is I have a theory on the Sabres and their inability to hold leads that I wanted to run by you because you mentioned earlier when you were reminiscing on the 13 game losing streak there how they've had all these games this season where they've got out to not even just one goal lead, like two goal leads. I mean, four goal leads, and have given these leads up. And last year, here's my theory. Last year, you have Don Granato. Don Granato starts the season out 30. Okay, so let me rewind even a little bit further.
Okay.
Let's go back to 2023.
Okay, we're
2023, Don Granato.
putting my brain back
Okay.
in 2023 mode when, you know, I was still young.
We were run and gun. I think we
Yep.
finished the league third in goals, right? But we also got
Yep.
scored on a ton. High event hockey, right?
Yep.
So of course, you have a season like that, you miss the playoffs by a point. Rightfully so. All the talk was okay. What has to change? So it was like okay, we have to become better in the defensive zone. So they came out in 2024 and we're like, we still think we have the shooting talent but we're gonna try and play more defensive and make sure we can win those games, 2-1 or 3-2 if we need to. That didn't work for 30 games. So then they course corrected and they said, okay, now we're gonna go to this running gun style because that's what working for us. And it did. It did work better for them in the second half because they already had a full season of playing like that. So there's some paralysis there. You have at the end of the season, the 2024, it goes how it goes. There's all this talk about players wanting to be held accountable. They didn't necessarily have Don's back. He moved on, it wasn't like we love Don all this stuff. It's like yeah, we need accountability. So Lindy comes in. You go from one extreme to the next. So Lindy comes in, and now we're starting out the season, and we're gonna do this dump and chase style hockey. So we're learning again, new coach, new system. and they start off very similar. And so now they're again, you're going through this period of like, is this still the way that we want to play, as far as, do we want to keep doing this defensive zone play? Do we want to do, so these players have been through so much these last couple of years, and I'm just wondering if where they're at now is, you go from all the chaos that was the year of Don Granato and little accountability, to a guy where Lindy now is calling you out probably for every single mistake that you're making, accountability to the max. I guarantee you're watching a ton of film. So now you get these leads and you're scared to make a mistake because because again, now you are being held accountable. So now you're nervous that you're going to make a mistake that's going to cost the team. And then boom, a mistake is made. And now you're like, oh shit, now everyone starts cramping their pants. And then it just snowballs from there. It just feels like it's a conglomerate of like what's been going on, of as far as like not having structure the last year and a half, switching things around so much, and then going again from one extreme of like best friend head coach to now like, I'm gonna like skate you for hours if you make a mistake type thing.
I have a question for you, and I'm not trying to be, you know, contrarian to your
No, go
accountability.
ahead. This is just a theory, so I mean,
Do
I want to know.
you do you genuinely believe that there's been accountability in that locker room? Because I don't.
From Lindy, I do.
Okay, here's why I don't. Dennis Gilbert the other day serves up a pizza on a platter to
Yeah,
whoever the
but you
fuck
only
it
have so many
was.
options,
I
dude.
think it was Seattle. They played 7D that night. He could have sat. They played 7D.
Yeah, but
He
Gilbert's
still
the only
played.
one who's like defending guys
He still
against
played.
Ottawa.
There's more. There's more.
Okay, all right, all right, all right.
Countless
I'll let you
times.
finish.
Countless times. Countless times. JJ Paterka throws the puck to the middle of the ice, or wherever, because his brain shuts off at some point. Still gets ice time on the top line. But Jack Quinn makes a mistake. He's in the press box for 5 games. There's no, there's accountability, but there's only accountability with some guys. Owen Power could have sat probably, he did sit a period the one time. And that was just the one time where he got held accountable. And I think that game he played pretty good. So Lindy was good there. But there have been multiple times that I have thought this guy should not see another shift. Peyton Krebs, multiple times this year, should not have seen another shift at all in a game. And he's just right back out there. And you can say and do all the stuff. Like, I bet Lindy's horrible in the film room, like ripping them. I guess that's a form of accountability. But for me, and I know I played like low level hockey, like nothing mattered really, but like to the people that were better than me that got like a ton of ice time, I always thought that
Like Showtime
like
Randy.
yeah, I always felt that like to hold those guys accountable was their ice time. And if one of your guys aren't playing great, but they're getting thrown out there constantly, what are they really learning? Like they're not really being, held feet to the fire for mistakes. They keep getting rewarded with ice time. Why is JJ Paterka on the power play still? Why was Dylan Cousins on the power play for all that time? Like, do something else. Like these guys are just getting rewarded. I just feel like the accountability is misplaced. Either like he's probably doing a fine job like behind the scenes, but when it comes to like in game stuff, I just feel like these guys like are not held accountable. At least like they probably are. Like you're probably right. Like they are getting yelled at for sure. But it's just like I don't know. The ice time thing just bothers me. Like it
But
just
here's
sticks
my,
with
all
me.
right. So here would be my rebuttal to that.
Okay.
Who can do it better?
I know they don't have a roster of guys that can do. Like you're not putting Beck
That's the
Malonson on the
problem.
power play.
It goes back to what we talked about. Lance, I think I don't think they do the show anymore. Maintenance Day, right? Is that
They
done?
don't. No, they don't do it anymore.
I think it was Lance, and is it Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, they made this point, and we talked about this too, where accountability only works if the person that can replace you can do it better and maybe take your job. And that's, they don't have enough of that because they haven't built this team the right way. So I
Yep.
think I think at the end of the day, Lindy's saying it's still my job to try and win games. And if who I'm going to be sitting, if the person I'm putting in isn't going to be as effective or isn't going to be, again, superseding what I'm looking for, certainly for a long stretch of games, then what is the point? Like you can do it here and there. I understand it, but it like that message is harder to hit home if the alternatives aren't like much better. So I think it is. I To answer your question, I think it is happening in the room, but I feel like he feels like his hands are somewhat tied because of the personnel. I just think it kind of comes back to that,
Yeah, the
and
whole thing is just a roster construction issue, honestly.
and lack of focus and just mental fragility. Like that is so evident throughout this whole season and last season that is a real thing. Like I kind
Especially
of
when you go to games and watch it live. It's way worse when you're there.
how
Like
many
way
times did we
worse.
make fun of Don last year for after every post game he talked about the psyche of this team. He was spot on.
Yeah.
This team is it's just yeah, it's I don't know, man. I hate
I've
to
been to
talk bad about the guys, but it's like when you see what you see on the ice and some of the ways that they lose and all these things we talked about, how you can have these video sessions and trying to be held accountable, but then when you don't have the mental fortitude or the focus to put these action plans into place and you're making the same mistakes again, the results are going to be the same. That's got to be extremely frustrating for Lindy. So when he says things like, oh, this is my hardest solve ever, I feel like that's kind of what he's trying to relay to people. It's like I'm doing what I can and what I've done for the last 16, 17 years, however long. It's just not working here.
He's essentially saying that they're broken. Like to me, I
Yeah,
think he's saying that this roster as is just and
he is.
it's evident in their standings and their standing position, but they're all just broken hockey players. Now I want to read you this quote that Lindy said the other day after practice on Monday.
Hmm.
He said, "You have to hate losing more than you like winning," and I don't know who the follow up was.
It was Lance. It was Lance who asked this.
Lance asked, "Is your team there?" And he said, "No." That tells me all I need to know. The culture of losing in that room and in this organization as a whole, from the top down, is totally rotten. Totally rotten. Excuse me. How how can it possibly get fixed on the ice if at the highest levels of this organization they don't hate losing?
It's tough, man. It's tough. And you look at like the Bills, for example, and I know it's apples and oranges, but culture is culture, the same, and the Bills had the longest playoff drought in NFL history. The culture, the culture didn't change with Josh Allen. The team changed with Josh Allen, and the team was a lot better with Josh Allen. The culture changed with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott.
Yep.
Like
They made the
it's
playoffs before Josh Allen was here.
right. So you don't need when Kevin Adams goes on in his press conference and says, "Oh, Buffalo wasn't a destination before Josh Allen." Like it's true from a standpoint of having the ability to win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen, and like that's more enticing. But the culture and the winningness of the organization was established before that. So that comes down to the tippy top. That comes down to Terry Pagula and Kevin Adams and Lindy creating that culture. And I think Lindy's trying to, and I think Kevin Adams and Terry Pagula have showed you that they cannot do so.
Yeah. I so it's like if it starts at the top, like I feel like there's nothing we can do, like as a fan base, to try to help them fix this because I kind of just feel helpless, and this is why I haven't like wanted to talk about the team is because I've genuinely been asking myself lately, like, what is the point of being a fan of this team? If from the very like mountaintops of the organization, they don't care about really getting it right. Like they don't spend the money. They have the smallest scouting staff in the league. They cut all their scouting staff 4 years ago and never rebuilt it. And it's like, if you're not going to spend the assets to, you know, have the most minute ways to get better every day when all your peers are trying to get better every day, like you're just going to be left behind. And that's just kind of where we are now. It just sucks.
And what you just said, you like from a player standpoint too, like you'd be lying if you said that these players, if all of them at some point this season have not themselves gone home and said that themselves. Like, what is the
Right.
point?
I agree.
And that goes back to your point earlier about not not showing the ability to improve the roster and feeling like you're stuck and not going anywhere.
Like, how does like Tage Thompson, his roster spot is not in jeopardy, right? He is the number one center. He's got a long-term deal. He is probably going home and being like, "We need help. Like, we need
Yeah.
help in this roster." And you know, if someone comes in and takes another guy's job, oh well. Like, oh well. Like the guys, Alex Tuck, he must be like, "What am I doing here? Like, I'm 28 years old. I could go and be a solid second liner on a Stanley Cup contender with a bunch of other guys around me and be happy." I
Hmm.
guarantee you they've all thought about themselves somewhere else. And
Yeah.
that just goes
That's
to
sad, man.
show how rotten it is, because why would you want to be here and be the one to try to fix it when it hasn't been fixed in over a decade?
Yeah. I know.
So it just, I don't know. I don't even know where we begin. Like, what do we do? Like, do we start trading everyone? Like, what do we do? Genuinely, I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do here.
I know what we do. We take it around the league.
Let's go. Let's stop talking about the Sabres for now.
Unless you had anything else to say, I think we covered a lot of what we need to
No,
say. We
I'm.
didn't cover the game specifically, but we don't really need to. Like they
Yeah,
had a 4-0 win over Ottawa. Ottawa looked like shit. That's why we won, and then we looked like shit against Seattle, and we lost 6-2.
we
The
blew a lead.
lines,
Blew it to
yeah,
a lead.
the lines have pretty much been the same, from
Yep.
there on out. So all right, so let's go around the league then. Let's finish it up with around the league, and then we'll go into our goofballs because I think we each got a goofball for tonight. So
Yeah.
we'll end the show on a light note. Although I thought we did good. I don't think we were really too doom and gloom. We had some good
No, lots of
we had
just
some good discussion there.
lots of reflection in this episode, which is what I needed as a fan personally, because, like I've stated multiple times, like I'm gonna watch every game, but it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and if you're listening, let us know. Like I said on last episode too, and some people have more recently, which is cool. So you can comment directly on this show if you're watching on Spotify. You just scroll down, hit comments, and we get alerted to those. So when if you have anything you want to say or anything that we've talked about that you want to comment on as well, let us know because we get alerts to our phone right away, and we're pretty good at responding to those. And if you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments. But we're always looking for that interaction with people, and it's been a tough season so far, and it's looking like it might be a lot of the same from here on out. So we're all in this together. So yeah, the more we can interact and kind of get through it together, the better. We'll keep shows coming, and we got some ideas for stuff to come. But yeah, those are ways that you can kind of get in with us right now. All right, so then we will. Yeah, let's go around the league first. Only a couple things in here really that I wanted to talk about since I did this show last week. Let's start off with the Four Nations tournament. So the Four Nations is coming up, and the NHL will be on a little break while they do that. It's kind of been a big talking point more recently. We're about a month away from the first games set to drop the puck on February 12th. It's about a week long contest. Canada, Finland, Sweden, in the U.S. It's going to be held in Montreal and Boston. And we have two Sabres selected to play, Rasmus Dahlin, who's playing for Sweden, and UPL, who's playing for Finland. What's your temperature and desire for the Four Nations tournament here? Is this something you're like psyched about?
I mean, yeah, because it's best on best hockey, and we haven't seen best on best hockey since 2014. But at the same time, I think this is lame. It's only four nations. Like, no Czech, like no Czechia, no Slovakia. Russia, I know Russia deserves to be participating in these tournaments and in the World Juniors too. They didn't participate in the World Junior, and this tournament specifically though, it should be fun. Like, it's international hockey. It's always fun. I'm curious to see how hard these guys go, because it is just a four nation tournament and not like an Olympics or a World Cup of hockey. So I'm curious to see the level of play. I know, like, once you put that you know that sweater on for
Yeah,
your
it's different,
country,
man.
it just feels a little different. So I'm pretty excited for that. But man, they really should have like done better than this. Like,
Yeah,
include the traditional hockey nations, like no like include Slovakia, include Czechia. You know, it's just missing something to me.
it'll be different next year
I think their plan, like
or in 4 years,
from what I've
whatever.
seen, they're going to go to the Olympics next year. hopefully for 2026. That's going to be fantastic. I'm
Oh
excited
yeah, that's
about
gotta
that
be sweet.
because that's going to be great. Our first Olympics since like I said, 2014 Olympics. Um, and still no Russia, which is fucking insane to me. Like this war needs to end. Like Putin needs to get off this shit and just like let Ukraine be Ukraine. That's like another thing. But like the hockey
Yeah,
players just
we're not getting about.
but it's like my point is like the hockey players and like athletes in general shouldn't be suffering for their country's transgressions. Like the
Yeah, no, I
players
got
have
you.
nothing to do with it. Like they're just hockey players. Like
Yeah, yeah.
them participate. How cool would it be to see a team made up of, Kaprizov, Ovechkin, Panarin, Marchenko, all these fucking high end forwards are just missing out on international hockey
I
because their
know my boy
country
Kaprizov.
is stupid. Like, come on, it's stupid. Really is. But this tournament in particular, like, yeah, I'm excited to watch Darlene play. But UPL will not get into a game because Saros is going to be their starter.
Yeah,
So it's
Saros.
like,
Yeah,
okay, he'll just go hang out for a little bit with the other Finns, which is
yeah,
kind of cool.
yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
do you you're gonna watch?
Yeah. What's the TV schedule?
I'm not really sure. I'm sure it'll be on like
Yeah, because as long
since
as
it's in
like
since it's in it'll be like 7 o'clock like regular puck drops.
yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. Honestly, I think just as like a kind of like a break, from
Yeah,
things.
I mean
Like I was still like
that's why I was so into the World Junior this year because it gave me a break to like not watching the Sabres.
yeah,
It was great. It was great. It was a fun tournament and the U.S. won again because it's our country now. Like this is our sport.
yeah,
USA.
yeah. So like like I said, we're like still super dialing into the Sabres, and like I'm excited for the rest of the season and see what this team can do, and hopefully prove us wrong. Not like making playoffs, but just play good fun hockey. But I am just excited to kind of like watch some hockey that's also not the Sabres
Dude,
though. So
we're gonna get McDavid and Crosby finally playing together on the
yeah,
same. Like
yeah,
that's great. Like two absolute legends. Like they should have been suiting up for Team Canada together, multiple times by now. And this is gonna be their first time, and that's very cool. And I think I might actively root against the U.S. because they snubbed Tage.
yeah, yeah. I think to what you were saying earlier about how hard these guys going to go. I think it'll be good hockey, man.
Yeah.
I think yeah. I feel like you said it's when you put the jersey on and you're representing your nation, like that's just like it's just next level stuff. Even if it's just something like this, like no matter what it is, like I don't know, like nationality, like pride is like such a big thing, and like such like an innate like human reaction. I feel that like even if it's not something that's as glorious maybe as like the Olympics, I just think as soon as that's something that you're playing for, it just happens naturally.
So this is what I think the NHL should do because I think that the Olympics is always going to be difficult because the IIHF doesn't allow the NHL to make any money from the Olympics. And the reason that we haven't gone since 2014 is because of that. So they haven't been able to like come to a deal. Um, so the NHL should have, which I think they're going for, starting this Four Nations tournament. I think this is just the beginning. Every 2 years, we should get a World Cup, and then every 2 years, follow the Olympic cycle. How sick would that be? The NHL hosts their own World Cup, kind of like what soccer does.
Yeah,
World Cup, Olympics. Every 2 years, we're getting international hockey. That's the way it should be.
yeah, that would be sick. I also might want like a little Ryder Cup like in the middle there, like North
Dude, okay,
America versus
so
Europe.
let me tell you something. You don't know this because how would you know? So in the 90s, uh, there was no East versus West All Star game or 3-on-3 All Star game. It was North America versus the world.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
Dude,
cool.
wouldn't that be awesome
Yeah,
again to
yeah,
do something like
yeah.
that?
I would love something like
Like
that.
that would be so cool. Like we need more of these little niche tournaments in hockey, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. But I am excited for it. I think it's gonna be fun, and it's about like I said, it's about a month away, and it'll be something that watching Darlene will be cool. I mean, we'll of course be rooting for our boy, and And yeah, I think it'll be good hockey. So a good
And
release from good break
Finland,
from the
dude,
season.
I've always felt like Finland and Sweden have the coolest hockey jerseys out of any country. They're
I
so sick.
Sweden's like a yellow, right?
It's the three crowns. Yeah, they
Eh,
do that in like a blue version, dude. Oh, those are. I might have to cop a Darlene.
although I don't know if it's Fanatics putting them out.
Oh,
So
if
if
you
it is, we might
if
be
it
in
was
trouble.
Fanatics, if it's Fanatics and you order a Darlene Sweden, they might give you a Darlene Team Canada.
Or Darlene Sabres, who knows?
Team.
Yeah. All right. The other thing we want to talk about is Detroit. I mean, we don't want to talk about Detroit, but I feel like it is something that we
I've
should
changed my
mention.
tune. I hate the Sabres so much. I've changed my tune. Good for them.
Good for them. So they fired Lalonde and hired Todd McClellan,
That's your boy.
and
That's your
that is my
boy.
boy. That is my boy. He was my top option for the Sabres, and I know I'm no hockey expert by me any means, but
Apparently you are. You
if
know
I
coaching.
if I can do it, Kevin Adams could have done it.
If
The
you can
problem is he
identify
didn't interview
coaching,
anybody.
you should have just consulted you because you would have been on T Mac and we wouldn't be here right now.
But Patrick Kane is like freaking reborn,
I don't know
under
what's
this
going on with
guy.
that. Like, but
So
okay, so continue. I'm interrupting you. But how many games have they won under Tom McClellan?
this is still active. I looked at this today. I don't think they played
They
today.
lost tonight. They lost tonight.
Okay, so they lost
Thankfully.
tonight. So prior to tonight, they had won 7 in a row. And what you had said, which was crazy, is that when I texted you this like couple days ago, of course you're aware because you're very plugged in, but you were like, and they're still not in a playoff spot, which is
Yep.
crazy, because it's like that's what's gonna take, for the Sabres. It's like you legitimately would have to win like 10 or 11 games in a row to even be, possibly back into a playoff spot. It's just impossible to do.
Right. Like they won seven in a row, and they were 2 points out still with a
Yeah,
game behind.
yeah,
It's insane.
there's still 2 points out, and after tonight's results, who knows? They might even be 3 or 4 points out. But
Yeah. I
yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
that's what it takes. That's what it takes, and we can't even win four in a row. So it's like, ugh.
But I wanted to bring it up because of, I mean, who knows what's going to happen, and I honestly don't really want Detroit to like be successful, obviously,
I don't
but
either. I'm in Ottawa.
but that
I don't want them to.
I just wanted to give myself some flowers,
Yeah,
for
you
the
should.
Todd
You deserve
McClellan
it. You
shout
deserve
out,
it.
and
So, do you want to know who I want to make the playoffs in the East? Then like to seal up the wild card too.
let me guess, because I know, I
Okay.
absolutely know,
Okay.
Columbus, baby.
Yes, yeah, dude. It is Columbus, dude. They are fun. They're fun, and how cool of a story would that be to
Yeah, man.
undergo like what they went through last summer, losing Johnny Gaudreau, teammate, friend, and then going off and securing a wild card spot. Like in his honor, I feel like that would be an incredible, incredible feat for them. And I think they're a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm totally rooting for Columbus. I've been plugged into them, since the Sabres got eliminated. Obviously, I'll
Like,
still be
dude,
watching my Canucks, but they're also in like a mess right now too. But
Kirill Marchenko is a fucking stud. I love that kid. He's so good. He
I'll
does
be
so much fun
I'm gonna
shit.
I'll be trying to watch them. It's tough because they're going to be playing a lot of well, they could be playing a lot of the same times as Sabres. I'm different nights, whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a team that will become America's team. Like people will want them to get in for sure.
You know
So
what we should do? You know what's a good segment to do? Where we adopt a team. Like
yeah, yeah, I'm
we
fine with that.
should adopt a team each and give like a report on that team like once a week. Like how they're doing.
The stepchild, yeah.
Yeah, the stepchild team.
But I'm totally rooting for Columbus. And look at what I mean, the Gaudreau obviously is terrible, and I'm sure that galvanized the team to play for him and things like that. But they also fired their GM last year too,
Yep.
Kekalainen, and that's a GM who made I'm pretty sure he made the playoffs like half of his years where he was
Yeah,
there,
he's
and
been there for he was there for a long, long time.
he was there for like 8 or 10 years, and he made the playoffs in like half those years. And
Yep.
here, the Sabres are riding it out with, Kevin Adams going into year 5 and of no playoffs and worse results, and we're just letting it ride, baby. We're just letting it ride.
Because you don't want to know why, Matt. You want to know why? Because the answer is in the room.
Yeah, the answer is in the room. Yeah, unbelievable, unbelievable. All right, well, I think with that, we'll just finish up with goofballs, right? Well, actually, you know what? Let's look ahead for the Sabres real quick.
Oh, do we have to? No, I'm
We
kidding.
got
Go
two
ahead.
games.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a light week.
Thank
There's
fucking God.
Carolina tomorrow, so or tonight,
Oh,
depending on when you're listening to this, but
oh, we might
Wednesday,
get pumped in that one.
and then and the thing about that is, I was looking up their schedule, like I said before. I'm like, oh, maybe they're like coming off a back to back, and we can catch them tired. Like, no, they haven't played since Sunday. They're gonna absolutely pump us,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
we got Pittsburgh. I think on Saturday.
Okay. Well, I still think Pittsburgh's mid, even though they're close to a playoff spot. We can win that one.
So you're gonna say 1-1?
Well, I'll say 1-1. Yeah, let's give them some credit. Let's say 1-1. No blown leads this week.
Oh man, I know. Yeah, Pittsburgh's 4 points out of a playoff spot there, but Columbus also has 2 games in hand on them, so they're kind of by us. Well, not really. They're still 7 points ahead of us, but um, I'm gonna yeah, I'll say 1-1 too. I'm not gonna say which because the Sabres are just absolutely dumb and make no sense, and I could see them like beating Carolina and then losing to Pittsburgh. But I'll say we split these games either way. So.
Okay, that's fair. At least we're not being like total doomers.
Unless Reimer gets a start, dude. Like if we lose against Carolina and then Reimer starts against Pittsburgh, I can see us going
Well,
0-2.
I
Like
don't,
Reimer
I don't.
sucks.
There's no way. They're like we haven't played since Saturday, and we have like 2 days in between. Like UPL is getting both of these games.
Yeah. All right. So UPL is going to play both games. So
Yeah,
we'll go 1-1. We'll go 1-1. All right. Let's go on to goofballs. You want to go first? You want to go second?
I want to go first because my goofball is in the football world.
Yeah. Yeah. So is mine. We might have the same one.
Okay, my goofball of the week is a. So the Bills. Let's give some context here for our non-football listening people. The
We
Bills
have
are
the
playing.
same goofball.
The Bills are playing the Baltimore Ravens this week,
Oh, maybe
and
not. Maybe not. Maybe not.
okay, it has gotten pretty toxic on social media between Bills fans and Ravens fans, and it's just Twitter is just a bad place to be. Like I'm trying my hardest to not open that app anymore because it's just the toxicity is just prevalent. So, but there is a reporter for the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
sure if he
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
for the newspaper or the radio, but his name is Jerry Coleman. 4 years ago,
Why is it always
four
a
years ago,
Jerry?
it is always a Jerry. 4 years ago, Mr. Coleman, I will refer to him as, made fun of the Bills and the fans and called us losers and said we were bad people and just all sorts of jacked up stuff, basically just coming at the city of Buffalo. And what do in response? His mother at the time, I'm don't know if she passed away now. I mean, it's 4 years later, but at the time she was struggling with Alzheimer's, and Bill's Mafia, doing what Bill's Mafia does, donates to the Alzheimer's Foundation in his name. Amazing that we do that. Now let's fast forward to 4 years later. Jamie Coleman is at the press conference for Baltimore coach John Harbaugh, and he says, "I'm rallying up Bill's Mafia this week because they're a city of losers." This fucking guy, this guy, and he's at it again on Twitter, calling Buffalo a bunch of racists, all sorts of stuff. This guy
Oh
is
my
just
god.
capping all sorts of shit on social media. Okay, this guy is my goofball. How are you gonna come at an entire city like that? An entire city. And thanks for giving us bulletin board material, buddy. Because if you don't think Sean McDermott is playing that little segment of the press conference where he says
Oh, I know.
the Buffalo is a city of losers over and over again, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Guess what, bud? We're not a city of losers. This is a city of hardworking, great people. And you, sir, are a piece of shit. and you're my goofball this week.
That was well said. That was well said. I don't have much to add on that other than your bulletin board material is so right. On top of the fact that we're home dogs against the Ravens,
Yeah.
like, oh
Yep.
my god, they're just giving them all the arsenal that they need, to go on and head out. And I truly believe that if the Bills beat the Ravens, they will get to the Super Bowl. This is the team that's standing in their way. I'm not. It's dumb to say, but I'm not as worried about the Chiefs. I'm not. I'm not worried about the Texans
That's a
whatsoever.
common sentiment. That's common.
But
I feel like the Ravens are definitely like a worse. It's crazy, like you said. It's just crazy to say,
yeah,
but
it is
this
crazy to
team
say.
is this Ravens team is good, and just give us
They're
all that
good.
bulletin board material. And this
Yeah.
guy sucks. And he actually has me blocked on Twitter. He blocked me 4 years ago, but he's just a prick, dude. He's just all just saying all this stuff, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, don't you remember when we donated to the Alzheimer's Foundation? Like,
No, people
come
don't
on,
remember,
man.
man. People don't remember that shit. They should, but people are too self-centered. All right. Well, my goofball. I'll give the context to you. You're gonna know who it is.
I'm
So
curious.
the Bills are playing the Broncos on Sunday, and I'm watching the countdown. They're doing their picks. All right, and I'm not one of these fans. I'm not one of these Bills fans who, if you don't pick us to win, like I'm gonna go crazy. Like there's a million people in the world. Like a
Oh,
million
I
out of a
know.
million people are not gonna pick the Bills to win every
I
week,
know what you're about to say.
and I'm not gonna be upset when somebody doesn't pick the Bills to win. However, the Bills absolutely dummying the Denver Broncos on Sunday is something that should not come to a surprise to very many people. You have Josh Allen, who is likely, well, not likely, could be the MVP this year, is going to finish top two no matter what. It's him or
Yep.
Lamar. You're home. You're one of two teams that's not the Kansas City Chiefs that have won a playoff game each of the last 5 years, that have not lost in the wild card round of the last 4 years. And you have a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix who, granted, all credit to him, has had a great season, but a rookie quarterback who's traveling to Buffalo to play in his first ever playoff game.
Yep.
This where we were Vegas knew what was going to happen. Vegas had us favored by like 9.5 points going into the game. I believe it was the biggest spread of the weekend, or maybe Pittsburgh was a little higher, but either way, Vegas knew what was going to happen. And Nate Burleson has the audacity
This was
to
funny.
sit there and pick. And here's one thing. If you're gonna pick, to win, whatever. Like, but when you say that rookie Bo Nix is gonna light the Bills up for 35 points,
This was
and they're gonna
asinine.
and they're gonna win 35-31, that is just brutal. That would have been a historic
I
performance
agree.
from Bo
It would
Nix.
have. It would have.
Like if they scored 35 points, a rookie quarterback, like it would have taken a historic performance from Bo Nix.
Got a little scary in the beginning though.
So that happened, yeah. But then
We
it's
clamped
just,
it down because we're the fucking Bills.
yeah, exactly. And I just and afterwards, credit to him, he remediated his wrongs and apologized to Bills Mafia afterwards for, I mean, just one of the wildest takes that I've ever seen. Again, if it would have been a
Dude.
normal score like, oh, Broncos 20, Bills 17 or
Yeah, like the
2019.
Broncos defense is good. Maybe they hold them to 17. Like I would have
Yeah.
understood that
Yeah.
too.
But 35-31 was just the most asinine thing I've ever seen. And I
Dude,
love Burleson. He's
me
pretty
too.
good. He's like one of the few guys I actually like, but that was just
It was so
he
funny.
deserves a goofball for that.
It was so funny in the post game when they go, Bill Cowher I think speaks first, and then they go to Nate and he goes, "I just got to get it off my chest." Bill's Mafia, I'm sorry.
I could see him
Dude,
sitting there, like he was sitting there like I'm so dumb the whole time Bill was
dude, I
talking.
bet I bet that they were giving him so much shit, like off air. They were like, "Oh, so you picked Denver, huh?" dude. But that was really funny, and yeah, he deserves a goofball for that one. I mean, 35 points by a rookie QB
Yeah.
would be incredible, especially on a defense that's like above average. Like that would have been wild.
I mean, it was so funny because I just remember hearing it and then thinking about it later and just thinking to myself like, it would have been a historic performance from Bo Nix. Like, what was Burleson thinking when he said this?
Like you said, if he said like close, like lower scoring, like it could have been like respectable.
Crazy, just crazy, just crazy. But
But hey, if that's hey, listen, guys out there, for you listeners, that's all it takes to make it to the goofballs of the week.
there he is. I don't know how good that looks, but
It looks good.
That's our boy
That's our
Josh.
that's our Lord and Savior Josh Allen.
I put him up here next to, well, you already know, Sabres Spotlight, but
Yeah.
I put him up there next to the Sabres and get him on the show here for the good juju. You know,
Okay. I like that. I like that because we need it. I'm how on a confidence level, scale of 1 to 10. How are you feeling about this Bills game?
uh, I I think we're gonna win. So I
Okay.
mean, I'm not super confident in it because Baltimore is a good team. So I would say five. Like I think it's probably 50-50, but I do think 100% chance we're gonna win.
Okay. So that math checks out.
Yeah, I'm not very confident in it. I'll say I'm 50% confident in it, but 100% that we're gonna win.
I think you literally are doing the Anchorman bit when they're like 60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah,
So that works for me. I'm confident too. I think it's a toss up, like you said, but just feels different, man. It just feels like we're not gonna do like the dumb colossal mistake this year that like causes us to lose.
yeah. I think the X factors this year are the two coordinators, man. I think Joe Brady is just awesome, and he's been in his bag. And I don't even think we've shown a lot of what we have, you know, in the arsenal yet. And Bobby Babich, you know, I think Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott over the last couple of years, their defenses have just crumbled. And it's only one game that we've seen from Bobby Babich, but I don't know. I feel like the coordinators are going to be an X factor this year.
Yeah, me too. Let's
So
hope for the best here. And the Bills are healthy, the healthiest they've pretty much been, again all year, and they came out like relatively unscathed. Besides, you know, Josh kind of putting Ray Davis in the hospital with a horrible pass, but
yeah,
hopefully Ray is like good to go. Maybe next week, maybe the week after, maybe the Super Bowl. Like I don't know, but um, we're healthy, and this should be a good game of football. And at least it's like fun to talk about one of our teams.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A little Bills talk. We haven't had Bills talk
I
on here
know
in a
all year.
while. In a while.
This is the first time we've talked Bills in the entire season.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, yeah. We didn't really do it a ton before, but we've been mostly sick. But it's playoff time, baby. It's playoff time. So
Yep.
hopefully we're back next week with a Bills win and maybe a couple Sabres wins. But I think that'll do it for today. So I think with that we'll wrap it up here and plan to see everybody within the next week or two. And if you're listening to the show, you already know what I'm about to say. Like, subscribe, follow the show, follow us on X. If you have questions, submit it to the email address. All that stuff is linked in the show notes below. And we'll see everybody next week. And as always, stay safe in the Saberhood.
See ya.